650-290-1759.
Again, it's
650-290-1759. And then I'll make sure you guys have this gift. Like, I hate funnels and all that crap. I'm personal.
Stuff.
And, stuff. I'm getting better with it. Liz Brown gets me in trouble all the time. I say, blame it on Tony. He's always cussing. But, yeah, no, this is going to help you guys quite a bit in your business so that you guys can think.
Are you guys excited about that?
Yeah.
And he said you can text him at 3 in the morning if you want. It's no problem. Just go ahead. I usually put an alarm clock to wake me up to text him, then I go back to sleep. So it's really fun. Try it out. It's a lot of fun. Guys, give it up for Carlos Secura, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos Secura! Awesome. All right, rock and roll, guys. You guys excited that we brought Carlos Secura up here? What's up? Rock and roll. Yes. All right, we are set to bring up a fabulous young lady who changes people's lives. She travels the world teaching people and helping people and coaching people to literally break those barriers and make millions and millions. How many of y'all would like to have that happen? Like, again, to you? Yes? Okay, good. So she's an amazing woman. She and I have been sharing stages with each other for a couple years now, I guess. And she's from New Zealand. I always say Australia. I think it's the same. I know it's not. And she's fabulous. And will you please welcome the amazing, the awesome, the fabulous Regan Ann Hillyer, ladies and gentlemen. Regan Ann Hillyer. Regan Ann!
To be a part of this conversation here at this particular event, because I feel like I was born and sculpted and created in rooms just like this, and I can stand here, but I can also so deeply tap into each of you guys sitting in these seats and what it feels like. And I asked Eric, I think yesterday, I was like, what am I talking about? What do you want me to say? And he said, well, tomorrow's all about creating success in life and in business. And I remember sitting in rooms where people would have conversations about creating their dream life and creating their most successful life for them. And I remember sitting there simultaneously being inspired and totally terrified at the same time. And I remember thinking that this conversation around creating your most successful life was so overwhelming. I found myself constantly in a place where I was going, how can I even think about that when I'm trying to figure out my tomorrow? Is anyone else just there right now? Right. And, when we talk about creating your most successful life, this looks different for everybody. Your life is going to look different to my life, but at the end of the day, there's some core things underneath that do remain present. And I just realized, Eric, there's no timer up here, so I'm going to go for 3.5 hours. Where is it? Oh, it's there. Hey, Alec. Thank you. Beautiful. I get lost in fear otherwise, and we would be here for 3.5 hours. So, creating your most successful life is about saying yes in the moments where other people aren't willing to say yes. Creating your most successful life is constantly surrendering to doing the internal work and looking humbly at all your fears, all your doubts, all of your limitations. Creating your most successful life is about being okay and walking in the opposite direction to most other people. Living your most successful life is around wearing the shiny dress when no one else is going to wear it up here. Right? Living your most successful life is around really each and every single day connecting with the highest version of you and tapping into that highest version and asking, how do I get to show up as a better version of me right now? And living your most successful life is about expanding your capacity to receive, because we can only hold what we have the capacity to receive. with money, with love, all of it, right? And living your most successful life is about taking action, but it's about taking aligned action. It's not about just doing more and doing more and doing more until you get really exhausted and probably get nowhere. It's about actually taking the aligned action. In alignment with what? In alignment with your vision. And so there's many conversations, I'm sure, that are going to take place around vision in this room over the next today and tomorrow. Yet vision for me, people can look at my life now and go, wow, you make millions of dollars, you impact millions of people, you travel the world full time. What an amazing vision to live into. But I need you guys to know that it did not start there. It didn't start with this grand, big vision of, I want to change the world and help everyone. My vision started because I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand, and I was born into a family that very much believed in following the system. You know the system, right? Go to school, get good grades, work really hard, go to university, get a job, who can finish the story, right? And so I was following that path. My dad always said to me, Regan, if I had your opportunities in life, I would have been an architect. So what do you think I did at university? Yeah, qualified architect right here. Never worked a day of my life, but I have the paper. And so I went down that path, and I walked into a lecture theatre in my first year of university. And a new lecturer walked in, and he told us to sit down and close our eyes, and he was going to take us through a visualization process. A visualization process where we got to picture our lives 20 years out as the architect that we were becoming. And people sat down and closed their eyes. I've never done anything like this. And they got so inspired. They started seeing the life that they were creating. And I felt totally sick to my stomach. And it was in this present moment that it's almost like my body disconnected from my mind. And my body got up, and my body just left, and it walked out. And I made a decision in that moment that I was going to create a life that didn't look what I just looked like what I just saw, right? And I was going to make a decision at that point in time that, okay, just because I'm living into a life that people have told me I should do this, and you're good at that, and this is the path, actually, you know what? I don't know if that resonates with my soul. Let me check in on that. And so, naturally, I was 17 years old. I went to Dr. Google, because Dr. Google has all the answers all the time. So I went back and I Googled, how do you quit your 9-to-5 job? I wasn't even in one. I was like, that's where I'm going. So I get out of it, right? And I came across an ebook which led me to a personal development event in Australia. And it was a multi-speaker event. A little bit different to this. There were a lot of people selling from stage, right? Selling that this is the strategy and this is the way. And by the end of the event, I was totally overwhelmed and confused and spent a whole lot of money that I did not have. Yet, I was trying to do everything right. And I hit a point about a year down the track where I was over 6 figures in personal debt. Personal loans, credit cards, every relationship that I could borrow money from, completely maxed out. Yet, nothing in my life was working. I didn't have any tangible results. I was starting businesses and they were failing. Nothing was getting off the ground. And I went to one of my mentors at the time. His name was Simon, and I said to him, you know what, Simon, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should just have a job. Maybe I should just be an architect. Maybe this life that I'm thinking I'm creating, maybe that's for the other people. And he looked at me. And in that moment, I saw something in his eyes, and I realized that he saw something in me that I couldn't yet see myself. And I encourage many of you to find that person. Who is the person that looks at you where they can see something in you that you maybe can't fully see in yourself? You see, I feel like I've constantly, over the last 10 years, just borrowed belief from other people. And people have told me, Regan, that's great, that's inspiring, you can do that. And I'm standing there with my knees shaking, going, really? Really? And everything in my mind is telling me, like, who, me? Like, I can't do that. And I just chose just to borrow that. Okay, if they think I can do that, then let me just try that on. Let me borrow that for a minute. The next thing he said to me changed everything. He said, Regan, he said, creating success in whatever way it means to you is 80% the internal game and 20% what you do on the outside. And I'm sure you guys are going to hear this a lot. He said to me, how much are you doing on the 80%? I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, exactly, you're not doing anything right now. And so that spun me into a different world, right, of NLP and energy work. And from that place of actually conditioning myself to succeed, everything started opening up. Fast forward a few years, I was 23 years of age and I just made my first $1 million. And I was standing outside a room of 50 people, ready to go and speak to them. And I was about to go into the room and I raised my hand to open the door and something stopped and I had the same feeling in my stomach. And I thought, uh-oh, I know that feeling. That's the same feeling I felt when I was at university. Why am I feeling this? You know, everyone's telling me how well I'm doing from the inside out. Everyone's telling me, you know, I should be so happy and so grateful for everything that I've created. And I thought, what is that feeling about? And I went in and I fulfilled the room. And then I took myself to Bali for 4 weeks. That sounds like really far away, but I was in New Zealand. It wasn't that far. It's a short film, right? And I sat there for 4 weeks and I started asking myself, what is that feeling about? And then I realized that although I was living into my vision, there was a next layer of it wanting to come through. Some of you guys are living in your vision right now. Who feels like they're on purpose, by the way? They at least know what the purpose is, great. And so there's another layer. And that layer was knocking at my door. And it was from that place that I realized that, okay, I get to actually open into this. I get to open my container. I get to start to choose to receive more. And I started asking myself, well, what would my vision look like if it was even more aligned? What would my vision look like if I was even more in my purpose? What would I start saying yes to? And I realized that the way I'd structured my offline speaking company at the time, I could only help so many people in those rooms. And I also wanted to travel the world. And I couldn't do that, because the minute I left those rooms, everything stopped the way I built it. And so I walked away from that company. Everyone told me I was crazy. They were like, this is self-sabotage. This is the biggest mistake you could ever make. And looking back, I am so happy that I listened to that guidance. And I chose to walk away. Because that allowed me to launch the multi-seven-figure company that I have today amongst other businesses, and I get to do it online and impact millions of people. But it was in that moment where I'd gone deep into my vision, I'd expanded my vision, and then all my shit came up. Right? Who knows what I'm talking about? Yes. All the fears, all the doubts, all the limitations, all the stories, all the voices in the head telling you that you're not enough and you can't do that. And there are many speakers and coaches and people out there that will tell you, fear is not real, it's an illusion. I disagree. I think it's very real. I think it can strangle you. I think it can stifle you. And I see people stuck and looping in their life because of their inability to dance with their limitations. And so in that place, I thought, okay, let me just put it all out on the table. I'm scared, I don't know how to do it, I feel I'm not enough, I got it all out. And then I realized it was like I was driving the car of my life. I was driving the car and the car was set towards my vision and I was so clear on where I was heading. And I expanded the car, the vision expanded, the road increased, I could see everything, and then all of a sudden, I felt myself being strangled. It's like someone at the back of the car, called fear, had jumped up and was grabbing my neck. And it was in that moment where you feel so contracted and so controlled by the fear, you've got a choice point at this moment. You either get out of the car and you decide that this is too much and too extreme, and you're just going to go back to what you were doing before. Or in this choice point, you sit in the car and you say, fear, I'm in the driver's seat. I acknowledge you're there. I acknowledge that you're there to keep me safe. I understand that. And I'm happy to feel you, because guess what? That makes me more human. And if I allow myself to feel more of the fear and feel more of the doubt, then maybe I increase how much joy and love and bliss and everything else I can feel in my life. Okay, let me have a full sensory experience with this, but I'm still driving the car. And from this place, I started learning how to dance with these limitations, right? I started learning to go, oh, okay, it's not my capacity to stand here totally fearless in front of you right now, but it's my ability to go, oh God, I'm going to wear the shiny dress and I feel overdressed, but I know that I'm going to give someone permission to stand deeper in their life. So let me stand here, shivering and quaking, and actually go, you know what, no. Some of you guys get to lean in a little bit deeper. Lean in a little bit deeper into your light, into your vision, into your fear, into all of it. Who's picking up what I'm putting down? Am I in the right room? Yeah. So from this place where you're clear on where you're going, and you're asking yourself, what is my vision each and every single day? You begin to open and expand this out. And then you humbly look at your limitations and everything which has stopped you. From this place, from a clear, open and grounded place, from this place, you get to connect with the highest version of yourself. You see, we have a choice. We have a choice who we are each and every single day. And guess what? We don't get what we do, but we do get who we are. You see, if we got what we do, then everyone just doing, would have their dream life right now. Yet last time I checked, that's not quite accurate. Yet people that truly learn to embody the highest version of them, now we're talking a different story because we start to alter the frequency in our field, which creates a different mirror reflection outside of ourselves in our reality. I'm not going to get too woo-woo with you guys, I promise. Bring it back. So, when you connect in with your highest version of you, think about this. Think of you 5 years ago. You were still you, right? And if you connect with that version and now bring yourself into the now, you're still you. You're just 5 years on, you're obviously better looking, and you've gone on a journey, right? Yes, yes. We get younger, yes. And so if I connect now with the 5 year out version of you in the future, you're still going to be you. You've just gone on a journey. Now you can either just hang out and lean back and let that version of you just evolve naturally over the 5 years, or you can connect with that version of you right now and pull that version of you into the now, dropping out time and space and allowing yourself to fully embody the highest version of yourself. How do you do this? You create it. You cultivate it. You ask yourself each and every single day, how does this version of me walk? How does this version of me talk? What does this version of me say yes to? What does this version of me boldly say no to? What does this version of me put in my body? How do I eat? How do I move my body? How do I fuel my body each and every single day? What kind of people am I around? What kind of people am I actually not around anymore? Right? What events do I go to? How do I show up at those events? And I know you guys get this because you're here in this room. You're a walking, talking example of doing just this. And guess what? Even better, if you've done it unconsciously, now you get to do it intentionally and speed up the results. I was at one of the first, seminars that I went to, and I was sitting at the back of the room, and I ended up making friends with one of the speakers, and he said to me, "Hey Regan, I'd love for you to come to the speaker's party." Who's coming to the speaker's party tonight? Right? A few of you guys, yeah. Again, such a cool moment because I was on the flip in this moment. I need to tell you guys this. He said, "Look, come." I said, "Okay, great." And I was at that event to meet amazing people and to learn and to accelerate my results. And I thought, wow, what a gift, what an opportunity to go and meet the speakers. And so, bear in mind at this point, I was a struggling student in student debt. I had no idea what my purpose was. I had a big dream, but I didn't even know what that dream looked like. And definitely none of it had shown up in the physical. And so I got ready, and I got ready to go, and I was on my way there, and I stood outside that door, ready to go into the event, and I walked inside, and once again, I felt sick to my stomach. And the only thing that was running through my head was, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You're not good enough to be here. You're not one of them. You haven't created that. Who do you think you are? And also, how are you going to survive this when they ask you what you do? So I had another choice point, right, at this moment. I could have up and left and gone home to my comfortable little room in my comfort zone where we know we don't grow. Or I could choose to stay and survive the room, and that's what I chose to do, okay? And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to make it a game. I'm just going to ask them all how they did it, and then I can do it, right? And so I started almost interviewing them and asking them, how did you create your success? What is your business about? Tell me how you did it. And I went home that night after speaking to 40 different speakers, totally and utterly confused, because not one of them had done it the same way. Not one of them. I was looking for the secret. I was looking for the secret strategy. I was looking for them all to go, what we didn't tell them all on stage is that we did these 3 things and made the money this way. No one said that. I sat there and I was like, okay, if I can't figure this out, because they've all done this a different way. I started asking myself a different question. When you do that, you start getting different answers. I asked myself, what is it about these people that are the same? What do I notice? And I noticed that all of them kind of felt the same to be around. They had a certain type of energy, a certain type of frequency, a certain type of vibration. I noticed that their body language was back, and their shoulders were upright, and their heads were high. And I thought, how did I walk into that room? I was trying to be invisible, so I did a real good job of it. My shoulders were low, I was looking at the ground, I was slumped over. I noticed that when you spoke to them, they projected their voice in a different way, and they were in their hearts. They felt good to be around, regardless of what they'd created or not created and how they'd done it. And I thought to myself, okay, so what if I just started doing that? What if I just started being the $1 million version of Regan right now? And if anyone had known that I'd done this, by the way, they would have probably put me in some sort of harm, because my current reality at that point in time, especially in my bank account, was so far out from where I was saying that I was. And this was not a game of fake it till you make it. This was a game of let's embody your highest self and show up as that each and every single day. And I started just walking into rooms with my shoulders back and my head high. And when they asked me, what are you doing? I said, I'm in an inquiry right now around what my purpose is and what my dream life looks like. And people were like, wow, that's so exciting. Instead of the story running that I'm a struggling student and I don't know what I'm doing in my life and I'm in debt. I changed the story. I changed the energy. I changed how I was holding that. And from that place, things started shifting. People started showing up in my life. Divine synchronicity started being laid out in front of me. I started making money. Everything shifted because I was being different. And I encourage you guys, if you take one thing away right now, to simply ask yourself, how do I get to be from this moment forward? And yes, you can practice in this room and you can be that version of yourself and you can own that and you can walk around this room, but how are you when no one's watching? Because that's when it really counts. It's not about the personal training session that you do for an hour. What are you doing and how are you eating for the other 23 hours of the day? It's the same with your frequency. It's the same with your energy. It's the same with the highest self version of you that you're choosing to embody or not. How are you when no one's watching? And then from this place, when we truly embody our higher self, this is where we get to lead. This is where we get to take massive action. And I'm not saying that, you should just go and work really hard and just action, action, action. I'm saying you should take aligned action. Alignment to what? Alignment to the vision. Alignment to the car of where it's going and where it's heading. And if you ask yourself this one question each and every single day, it would be this. What do I get to do to speed this up? What do I get to do to have these results come in faster? Because guess what? It's already done. All your dreams, all your desires, all your visions, they're already written in the stars. They've already happened. Across all time, all space, it's already there. If you're feeling it as a desire, it means that it is. Yet, what do so many people say? They say, how do I make it happen? What do I do now? I've done all of this brilliant internal work. I've aligned to my vision. I've opened up my capacity to receive. I've dealt with all my limitations. I've learned to dance with them. I've embodied the highest version of me. Now I've got to make it all happen. No. Because when we try being the ultimate word, try and make it all happen, what are we doing? We're telling the world, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, we're telling them that I don't truly believe this is done because it is reliant on me actually showing up. It's reliant on me figuring this out and having the right strategy and doing the right things, which means underneath that, there's a fear vibration that none of it's going to happen. So you're taking your action and you're doing your steps and you're laying out your marketing funnels and you're creating your Facebook ads and you're doing whatever you're doing from a place of fear. Not from a place of openness and expansiveness. We can be in contraction or we can be in expansion, but we can't be in both at the same time. So you've got to choose. Are you taking your aligned action from a contracted place of fear and I don't know how it's going to happen? Or are you doing it from an abundant, expansive version of saying, you know what, this is already done. This is already done. And I choose to now bring it down and anchor it into the now, into the physical. So in that case, let me play with this. How do I get to just speed this up? What do I get to do right now? And that's when you'll write out, oh, I'm going to call this person. I'm going to say yes to that. I'm going to go back to Eric's next event. Whatever the action step is, you do that, but see how it's from a completely different place. So I just swung by today just to move you a little bit and to wake up maybe some of this fire and to potentially make you slightly uncomfortable. And I came here to remind you that your vision is here. And for many of you, your next vision, this next layer is knocking on your door. And if you have the ability to go into that and dance with your limitations and truly embody the highest version of you, and from that place take aligned action, then I'm here to remind you that magic truly does get to happen in your most successful life. So thank you so much for having me.
Regan Ann Hillyer, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah! You can do amazing! You have to come up here for a second. And stand right there. Regan Ann Hillyer, ladies and gentlemen. So, wow, you are extremely inspiring. How did you decide to become extremely inspiring? How did this work? Like, one day you're like, you know what, enough is enough. I know you shared a little bit with us a little bit ago, but can you expand on that? Because I think, and this is a double question, I guess. What do you think, why do you think people allow themselves to get in their own way?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, well, firstly, I feel like people allow themselves to get in their own way because it's society's norm. You know, it's, if I walk down the road right now, I'm just going to walk into the majority of people getting in their own way, right? And it can feel really uncomfortable when you choose a parallel reality to that. It can feel really uncomfortable when you get into a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to boldly do this differently. I'm going to boldly choose to get out of my own way, and that takes work. Like, whoever tells you that's super easy is lying to you, right? it takes work.
And they're the ones getting in their own way,
Exactly.
right? And that's amazing. It does take work, and that's kind of like what I did with Habitude Warrior. I mean, you've seen the growth of this.
Yes.
And it's just, I put it out there, and I said, okay, I'm gonna, it's unrealistic. I said, all right, I'm gonna have 33 speakers. And they're like, why? I go, because it's my favorite number. And they're like, that's not gonna work. How are you gonna do this? How are you gonna do that? I'm like, it'll work out. You just put it in the universe. But it's putting in your own, and that's what Habitude is all about, habits and attitude. It's putting in your universe as a habit on a daily basis. Because a lot of us, and I'd love you to expand on this, because you do a lot of work on this.